Holika's fire, a tale of loyalty, betrayal, and liberation. Holika had not always been a villain. Once she had been a devoted sister, a kind soul who believed in the strength of family. But time had worn her down. She had watched as her brother Hiranyakashipu became a ruler feared more than revered. She had seen how power twisted love into possession, faith into defiance, loyalty into shackles. And now she stood on the edge of a pyre, her brother's decree ringing in her ears. Step into the fire with the boy, he had commanded. End this madness. The boy, Prahlad, his son. Holika clenched her fists, her fingers curling around the edges of her crimson robe. She had been granted a boon. Fire could never harm her. It was meant to protect, not to destroy. Yet tonight it was being used as a weapon. She glanced at Prahlad, expecting fear, resistance, pleading. But he simply looked up at her, eyes steady, unwavering. Not a trace of doubt, not a flicker of hate. How could a child have such certainty while she, a woman grown, was drowning in doubt? The crowd stood silent, their faces cast in the eerie glow of the rising flames. They would not speak. Fear had stolen their voices long ago, just as it had stolen hers. She stepped onto the pyre, Prahlad's small hand in hers. The flames leapt eagerly, curling, crackling, licking at the sky. Heat surged through her skin, sharp and searing. Holika gasped. This wasn't supposed to happen. The fire had always obeyed her. Why was it betraying her now? And yet beside her, the boy stood untouched. The truth struck her harder than the heat ever could. The fire had never been hers to command. It had never been about power. It had always been about purpose. She had misused what was sacred, and now it would unmake her. Her brother had bound her in fear, in loyalty twisted beyond recognition. But this was release. The flames burned away more than just flesh. They burned away the silence, the guilt, the years of justifications. And as the fire roared, consuming everything she had been, Holika felt something she had not felt in years. Peace. When the flames died down, the people looked on in stunned silence. The boy stood unharmed, his faith unshaken. And somewhere in the ashes, Holika was free at last. Holika's story is not just one of fire and faith. It is the story of every soul caught between duty and conscience, between fear and truth. Loyalty is noble, but when it blinds us to what is right, it becomes a cage. Power may command obedience, but it cannot command righteousness. And silence, though it may delay the storm, can never escape the fire. Holika's story did not end in tragedy. It began there. The fire that was meant to destroy her instead unshackled her, turning chains to ashes and fear to power. She became more than a legend, more than a warning. She became a force of liberation. For in the very flames that sought to consume her, she discovered what her brother never would: freedom.